the components of a fully functioning computer onto a single chip, what came to be called a microprocessor. Before these new chips arrived on the scene, it took dozens or hundreds of integrated circuits to perform one narrow function, from traffic lights to gas pumps to printer terminals. Microwave oven-sized mini-computers, the machines that bridged mainframes and the microcomputers yet to come, followed the same formula: one chip, one purpose. But Hoff's invention was far more versatile. As Gordon Moore noted, now we can make a single chip and sell it for several thousand different applications. In November 1971, Moore and Robert Noyce, the co-inventor of the integrated circuit, introduced the Intel 4004 microchip at a price of $200. The launch advertisement in electronic news proclaimed a new era of integrated electronics. Few people took notice of the 4004 early on, but I was a college freshman that year and had time to read every magazine and journal around. It was a fertile period for computers, with new models coming out almost monthly. When I first came across the 4004, I reacted like an engineer. What cool things could you do with this? At first glance, Intel's new chip looked like the core of a really nice calculator. But as I read on, I could see that it had all the digital circuitry of a true central processing unit, or CPU, the brains of any computing machine. The 4004 was no toy. Unlike application-specific integrated circuits, it could execute a program from external memory. Within the limits of its architecture, the world's first microprocessor was more or less a computer on a chip, just as the ad said. It was the first harbinger of the day when computers would be affordable for everyone. 4 months later, as I continued to follow the chips, I came across the inevitable next step. In March 1972, electronics announced the Intel 8008. Its 8-bit architecture could handle far more complex problems than the 4004, and it addressed up to 16,000 16K bytes of memory, enough for a fair-sized program. The business world saw the 8008 as a low-budget controller for stoplights or conveyor belts. In that vein, Bill and I would later use it in our fledgling enterprise in traffic flow analysis. But I knew that this second-generation microchip could do much more, given the chance. My really big ideas have all begun with a stage-setting development. In this case, the evolution of Intel's early microprocessor chips. Then I ask a few basic questions. Where is the leading edge of discovery headed? What should exist, but doesn't yet? How can I create something to help meet the need? And who might be enlisted to join the crusade? Whenever I've had a moment of insight, it has come from combining 2 or more elements to galvanize a new technology and bring breakthrough applications to a potentially vast audience. A few months after the 8008 was announced, one of those brainwaves came to me. What if a microprocessor could run a high-level language, the essential tool for programming a general-purpose computer? It was plain to me from the outset that we'd use BASIC, beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code, the relatively simple language that Bill and I learned back at Lakeside in our first computer experience. The latest mini-computer from Digital Equipment Corporation, the PDP-11, already ran the more complex Fortran on as little as 16K of memory. While an 8008 machine would be quite a bit slower, I thought it should be able to perform most of the same functions at a fraction of the PDP-11's cost. Ordinary people would be able to buy computers for their offices, even their homes, for the very first time. An 8008 BASIC could swing open the gate to an array of applications for a limitless clientele. And so I asked Bill, why don't we do a BASIC for the 8008? He looked at me quizzically and said, because it would be dog-slow and pathetic, and BASIC by itself would take up almost all the memory. There's just not enough horsepower. It would be a waste of time. After a moment's reflection, I knew he was probably right.